Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining from. I'm Alessio Cozzolino, the Director of Strategic Management Master Program, and today I'm pleased to introduce you to three of our master programs. The logic, the aim really of this session is to help you understand what are the main features of each program based on broad offer and the curriculum. Then what's the student profile and career outcome for each of them, some little consideration about AI, and then sum up program by program with what is really the differentiator aspect of each of them. Just before we move on, the school is a very strong school. The Northfield Business School is a triple accredited university and business school, and it's one of the 150 top business school in the world. So just some important consideration before we move on that gives an idea that whatever programs you are going to select, they all belongs essentially to a school with a strong reputation, a strong legacy, and employers are very well aware of those characteristics. But let me now start with the first program for today, which is the Master in Management. And by the way, I'm pleased to take all your questions at the end of the session. So the Master in Management is a program, is probably the most comprehensive of the three programs we offer. This is because it is aimed to provide foundations on several disciplines in the area of management and is designed for students who normally do not have a bachelor degree in business. It is offered both in person and online, and I will provide an evidence of both situations. And in terms of practical learnings, it contains a lot of projects, group work activity, real-world business problems that you will encounter during each module. Let's be more specific on the three trimesters and what you will learn if you decide for the Master in Management. As you can see, the content, the modules are core foundational modules in the discipline of management, ranging from accounting and finance in trimester 1 to HR and even economics. So essentially a broad array of what a company does from the accounting and finance standpoint and the HR function. So each of the single function in a company. When you move to trimester 2, you will have strategic management as well as marketing, another key core function in an organization, and another module which is a bit more operational, which is supply chain and sustainable supply chain more specifically. In trimester 2, you will have the first opportunity of selecting one option module out of AI for, let's say, managers and digital innovation. During the summer, this program offers 4 modules in corporate social responsibility, leadership essentially, the second, a business simulation, and then an innovative managing innovation projects. So essentially, what I would like to really make you notice clearly here is that you have all possible functions of a company, like in a mini MBA. And that means that the program is highly broad and it gives foundation to students that do not have prior experience in management, but also it gives you option when it comes to the job market. So what is the typical student profile? We tend to have large class size for this, relatively larger than the other two programs. 84, for example, last year, a young cohort, 24, the average age, and quite international, more or less 9 nationalities based on last year data. So just keep an eye on the class size because it's, of course, larger than the other two programs, which are a bit more specialized, although they remain in the area of management and therefore they are of general management. As per the career outcomes, it's a very strong program in terms of employability. So roughly 80% got a job within 6 months from graduation. The graduation took place at the end of the academic year. These are the data from 2025, and students were employed in a large number of industries and roles. Here are some of the key employers from offering opportunity to our master students. Now, a general consideration that I'd like to make at this point, which is applicable to the other programs and to all master programs in SmartFit. The condition in the employment market are clearly different year over year, and AI is having a major impact, and geopolitical tensions are having a major impact. So all of that needs to be taken into account. However, in relative terms, the offer of SmartFit and Ireland in general, even in terms of comparison with other European countries, has constantly been one of the strongest offer, if not the strongest offers in Europe in terms of employability and career prospects, because Ireland being a technology hub and for other reasons. Now, a few considerations about AI in this program. Like most of the other programs, you will see that the AI topic is the subject of many courses and applications and projects and so on and so forth, and case studies. In this specific program, you also have the opportunity of studying one optional module whose title is AI and Business Analytics for Managers. Now, consider that this is only an optional module. That means that probably there might be restricted number of seats on the module, and you may choose it or not, but at least you have an option to do precisely a module focused on AI. So to conclude, some of the program differentiators of the Master in Management, it's the broadest scope program of the three. It attracts a large class size. It works particularly well if students do not have a prior experience in management, either because they were not studying business or because they did not have any company experience before joining the program. And also, if you like, it offers the opportunity of studying one optional module on AI. So several important strengths, but I'll say that the breadth of the program, like a mini MBA, is what you really can remember. There is an online version of this program. In this case, it is for whom? For people who, for any reason like carrying responsibility or because they live abroad, they essentially need to attend a program in an online version. And the program is in an online version in this format since quite a few years now, probably at least 3 years, I'd say. And that means that it's a very consolidated at this point delivery offer, and we are finding that students are quite enthusiastic also of our online delivery version of the program. What is particularly important to specify is that in this case, students will have about 3-5 hours of live session per module. The content are front-loaded asynchronously, which means that you have all content already registered, recorded, and asynchronously made available to the students. But then in each module, there are about 3-5 live. It's not completely live, but there are most of the content essentially asynchronous. and then each session, each module will require some level of live attendance, but this is limited to about 3 5 hours per module. So it gives really a lot of flexibility to people that needs to listen the class, the content when they can, from wherever they can. They don't need to be online specifically in a given moment, other than for the 3 5 hours per module. The content are produced in high quality with high quality learning material and in a professional setting. So all very strong features about this offer. Now let's move to the second program of today, which is the Master in Strategic Management. This is really for students interested in developing a strategic mindset, more attracted probably by innovation and decision making with the scope of gaining an advantage to do things better and potentially gain an advantage in comparison to other companies. So this is really the scope and goal of strategic management, a program that develop capabilities and a specific mindset to gain and sustain a competitive advantage, both in the case you are going to work in a large organization or in a disruptive startup, new venture. It's highly innovation focused, and I'll explain you why in a moment. It's only delivered in person, and it contains a number of practical learning opportunities, including projects, simulation, business simulation, company-based consultancy project, and I'll discuss about that in a moment. So as per the curriculum of strategic management, in trimester 1, you will have 3 core foundational modules all about strategy. Competitive and corporate strategy, so at the global level, what companies need to do when they make acquisitions, diversification, technology and innovation strategy. So it's very much innovation-based strategy and decision-making strategies and techniques. So this is really an arsenal of all the major strategic frameworks that companies need to consider, whether they are looking at broader corporate level decision or innovation technology related strategy decision, and even techniques in order to make decisions strategically. In trimester 2, you will have behavioral strategy and strategic resource allocation. Strategic resource allocation is similar to finance for a manager in simple terms. And then there is a number of optional modules you can choose. And in trimester 3, you have several pathways to consider as potential options. You can do only optional modules in pathway A, or you can do one optional module, managing the negotiation, and a more practical module such as the International Business Consultancy Project. This is a module based on a consultancy activity provided by a real company, or you can do an internship, or you can even decide not to do any of those modules, but do 30 credits for a dissertation. Student profile, they tend to be still students relatively young, but we have seen that on average, the level of work experience may range from 2 to 8 years for those who comes with experience. The class size is slightly larger, but it's a more international, or in the nationalities of the programs, the number of nationalities is very high, 14, as opposed to the prior program, which has probably 6, 7, if I remember well. You can look at the figures. Career outcomes is extremely strong, 87%, again, about 90% after 6 months, and people tend to be placed in 3 different areas between management, consultancy, and finance. It's important to notice that essentially people in studying strategic management tend to work quite easily in consultancy because it's very much related to strategy as well as strategic positions in management, and also we employed some students in finance. So again, an important consideration to take into account is the breadth, although it's specific to strategic related roles. AI is a topic covered in all possible modules in the setting of company-based projects, as well as cases and other courses and materials. And in terms of program differentiators, I would really like to sum up by saying this is probably one or the most suited program in terms of giving you a mindset for making strategic decision in condition of uncertainties, like the one we are facing today with big technological and world level disruptions and uncertainty. And those require a great deal of strategic considerations. It gives a very distinctive career, but it's still broad enough because you can both work in management and consultancy, plus other additional type of companies. It's very much innovation focused because it contains, it's the only module offering a core module in technology and innovation, an optional module in disruption and design, and several other entrepreneurship related modules. And he has the highest number of pathways, several modules you can choose from a company-based project if you decide for going for a more practical version, or even a dissertation. So almost a pathway that you would take if you consider a PhD, just elaboration of a piece of research. Finally, consultancy. This is a program that it's particularly interesting for people who really already want to know since the beginning that they want to work with clients and in client-facing roles. So it's a very valuable program in this respect because it signals since the beginning what's your orientation, and it gives you a lot of frameworks to prepare for this type of career. So it prepares really students to the highest standard and methodologies and frameworks that consulting companies are using at the moment. It's all in person. It contains a lot of practical learning opportunities, including projects and business simulation, as well as several company-related modules. Trimester 1 contains competitive and corporate strategy, OB, organizational behavior, but also consulting principles. And consulting principles is a module which already asks the students to solve a consulting task for a specific company, for a specific real company. In trimester 2, you have something similar. In the module Diagnostic Techniques in Consultancy is again related to a job, an activity given by a company, and then you have project management and the possibility of choosing another optional module. And in trimester 3, you have another core module, organizational change, and then you can choose the business consultancy project, similarly to strategic management, or an internship. So what I'm really going to, and in terms of student profile, this is a class size tend to be similar to strategic management, about 50 students on average on those programs. It tends to attract relatively more Irish students, although historically, last year we have a class of 70%, it was international at 70% from 6 nationalities. And the career prospect has always been very strong, 90% last year, and primarily with company in the area of consultancy, as you can see. And there is also a PwC award for a top student offered by this specific program. AI is offered is a topic on which students will reflect during the 3 trimesters. There is no specific module on AI, similarly to strategic management, while in management there is an optional module on AI. But again, the optional module, it's just optional, and you may decide it or not, or you may not have enough seat in the module at the time in which you are enrolling. So just consider that by and large, the 3 programs, all of them want to engage and prepare students to an awareness and the challenges that AI are representing. Now, management also offer a specific optional module. So this is the major differentiation of that program. In the case of consultancy, to sum up, this is the most focused program in terms of career, because it really immediately lead you to the consultancy employers, and it has the highest number of company-based practical modules, because in trimester 1 and 2, there are already 2 modules which are company-related, and then in trimester 3, you have the option again of choosing another company-related module. With that, I'd like to conclude my overview of the 3 programs. I hope it has been useful, and I'm happy to take all your questions.
Thank you so much, Alessio. That was really interesting to hear about the 3 programs. So yes, we have been getting a lot of questions in. I might just run through them now. So thank you all for your questions. If you do have any, please do pop them in the Q&A and we'll hopefully get through them all. So we did have some questions about, in particular, sustainable supply chain management and management online. So we actually have done webinars today already on those programs, and they've all been recorded, so you'll be able to view them back as well. So we definitely would recommend looking at those specific program webinars. And just probably to highlight as well, just with the management, MSc management, so that's for non-business graduates. So we did have a few students who have studied business before who were asking could they do the management program, but unfortunately for MSc management, so that's for non-business undergrad. So if you have business, you wouldn't be able to apply for just our management programs. Then we had some questions as well about if you're applying for 2026. We are still open for applications. We did open on the 1st of October. So if you are looking to start this September, we would recommend that you apply as soon as possible, because we are kind of coming towards the end of the application process. And then if you're looking at applying for 2027, you'd need to just wait until October 1st of this year to apply for next year. And we only have one intake of every year, so they start in September as well. Alessio, I might just ask you, there is a question about someone who has, work experience and doing the management program, or should they do maybe the MBA program? But as I kind of mentioned there, like the management program is for, you can come directly from college or you can have work experience, but the MBA is probably slightly different in terms of you need work experience.
Yeah, the work experience in the MBA maybe at least 4 or 5 years, I'd say. And let me give a general sense also of what was the evolution of enrollment in the programs in terms of people coming with experience. In the last few years, for example, speaking about my program of strategic management, we have had people enrolling with quite a significant years of experience, some even beyond 10 years of experience, to the extent that they could potentially have attended an executive MBA program. However, we accept those. They were very valuable students in the class. So at least for strategic management, you will have people with a short experience from 2 to maximum 5, 6. A few cases was experiences very long, and still we accepted those. In management, because I'm not sure, Laura may probably know the numbers a bit better, or the admission team certainly can support, but in general, because management is a general programs that gives the foundation. In that case, if you have a significant business experience, that business experience maybe compensate for the fact that you do not have a bachelor degree, and therefore it might be useful that you go for a more specialized program because the same experience you have may already be sufficient for you to have an overview on HR, finance, marketing, and therefore you may benefit from looking at a relatively more specialized program. But anyhow, those are um, considerations that probably need also to be ponderated once you ask the same question to the admission team based on your CV.
Yeah. Exactly. And we just have a few questions just in relation to entry criteria for the different programs, but it really depends on what program you're applying to. So all the entry criteria is actually listed on the Smurfit School website, and we have posted that in the chat because we are talking about three different programs here, but probably just to, I know we've been getting a lot of questions about the management one in particular, but that one is specifically for students that haven't studied business. And just probably just one more question for you, Alessio, that we're getting is just if you haven't studied business and doing strategic management, is that okay to do from a non-business background?
Yeah, again, it is ideal if somebody could compensate with a little bit of working experience. And that's quite often the case, for example, of many students coming from India. They tend to come with a bachelor in engineering, but probably at least 2 4 years in a major company. And we're always accepting those type of profiles. If any other Irish or European from whatever, sometimes we have people from South Korea also with working experience. If they can at least show that they have a little bit of experience, that would be ideal for the selection. If it is somebody, so just I'd suggest put on your application, but in terms of content, it is feasible strategic management without having a business experience, but having at least some years of work experience may provide you with more context, or in alternative, having studied business before. But again, consider also to touch base with the admission team and discuss this more thoroughly.
Thank you. And that's the end of our webinar. So thank you so much for all your questions and attending. And thank you, Alessio, for such a really comprehensive presentation on all the three programs as well. And then if anybody has any questions outside the webinar as well, please do feel free to contact the admissions team. We're happy to help you. And thank you all again for joining our webinar today.